What's up and welcome back to my channel. And on today's video, I've got something pretty special for you, and that is I am pulling a training out of my group coaching program called the Moms Marketing Lounge, and I am giving it to you, putting it up, which is today's video. And it's all about how to create better and more effective posts for social media. If you are totally new to me and my channel, what's up? My name is Sherri Brown. Nice to meet you. And I help busy work-at-home moms to rediscover their voice, build a solid foundation for their business, and show their kids what's possible. And on this channel, I do everything from product reviews, tutorials, as well as actual social media and marketing strategies that you can implement to go further faster when building your business online. So if you're new here, this kind of seems up your alley, then consider subscribing. Just make sure that you hit that bell so you get notified as I upload new videos each and every week. And finally, right before we hop into this and I move out of the way to show you the training, I do want to let you know that this week, the Moms Marketing Lounge is open for enrollment. I will drop below in the description all of the details, but without further ado, I'm going to go ahead, move out of the way, and you can get right into the training. All right, super excited about this training, which is going to be all about how just to make better posts when it comes to social media. Now, we're not going to be talking about a lot of the value driven type posts because we did that in the previous training. So this is just all about just regular social media posts to create just more engagement on your profile. And so a couple of just reminders. Now, this is actually, I had to go back and re-record this, so there's not going to be a Q&A at the very end. So if you have any particular questions about this training, then just go into the group, the Moms Marketing Lounge group, under the announcement section, which is at the very top, and that shows the upcoming schedule for different pop-up sessions. And if you aren't able to make a pop-up session, then just post your question in the group or just under this particular video. Now, I also want you to schedule time, as always, in your calendar over the next few days or weeks to start implementing what you're learning. Because obviously you can train until the cows come home, but it's not really going to make an impact or a difference if you aren't implementing the strategies that you're learning. And then also, as you're watching this, of course, the replay, you're already going to be watching it in your members area. But just as a little reminder, I just want to kind of pull up and show you on your website, you just go to backtothebasicsacademy.com/login. This is where you created it. This is where all of your training is going to be. So you would just hover over my library. It's going to pull up what courses you have available from me. You would just click on view product. And this is where all of the core training is going to take place. The pop-up sessions, the replays, those are always going to be just in the Facebook group, but the core trainings are all going to be under here, back here. So this one, you'll see it under Facebook marketing, but foundation training, that's definitely the place that I suggest everybody start at first, just so they can identify their brand, their target audience. They've created that, that brand statement, that one-liner that they can repeat over and over, as well as content training in general. So that's where you're going to find all major trainings. So back over here. And so what you are going to learn today, we're going to talk about, again, it's all about Facebook marketing. So we're going to talk about how often you should be posting, when to post, what to post to stay on brand, the types of different posts that you can create for just more of a variety, and also how to create better and more engaging social media posts. We're going to talk about some big no-nos, and then I'm going to give you some final tips at the end. So let's go ahead and kick off with how often should you be posting? This is a very common question. And I will say before, even back in, 2017, I would say it pretty much kind of stopped, I would say, by 2018. But I used to tell people, because this is what I learned, 3 to 5 posts a day. Well, that's kind of changed as more and more people have come on the platform, and it's now over 2 billion people, and it continues to grow every single day. And so just understand that when it comes to Facebook, that it's very much more about quality than quantity. I would say 1 to 2 good posts a day is plenty, okay? So anything more than that, I would recommend post to your stories, add them to Trello, which, Trello is just, it's a free service that you can use. It's like a software where you can organize. Now, if you don't have Trello or don't use Trello, you can literally just pull up a PDF, a Word document, a Google Doc. You can use the Notes app on your phone, and or you can even schedule them out. Like if you have a business page or a Facebook group, they allow you to schedule posts in advance. So if you're, just in one of those places to where your brain, like your creative juices are flowing, and you just have like all these good post ideas, schedule them out. Or just put them somewhere and kind of like start stockpiling them so you can use them later on, to where you aren't just posting like multiple times a day. And also, I would recommend spacing them out. I would suggest at least 4 hours apart, and the big reason here is, as more and more people are coming online, as your friends continue to expand, as you start building up more people that you're connected to, understand that if you start posting like multiple times a day, competition, like to get in the newsfeed, it's pretty fierce these days, okay? So just understand that you don't want to make it to where your own posts are competing against each other. So that's why you want to post, 1 to 2 good posts a day. You want to space it out to where they aren't overlapping and competing with themselves. So that's my suggestion on how often to post. Now we're going to move into when to post. Now, the first thing I'm going to say is test it out. People always want to know what's the best time, when should you post? And again, I would recommend just testing it out and kind of seeing, when it comes to your profile. And I'm going to give you some tips on, when it comes to posting on your profile, on your business page, on your, inside of your group. But first and foremost, test it out. I'm also going to give you a pro tip to say post on their time and not yours. And I'm going to give you an example of this. I've got a really good friend. Her name's Jelena. She lives in Latvia, which is over near Russia. However, her ideal customer, like she targets people in the US. And so obviously she's like way ahead, like several hours ahead of US time. And because of that, she wants to make sure that in order for her US audience to see those posts, that she's posting when they're online. Obviously, because, a lot of the time she's staying up in the middle of the night because people are still up in the US. And so she'll sleep in later on in the morning so that she can be up and producing content when people in the US are up. So hopefully that makes sense. Heine, she's also somebody who is inside of the Moms Marketing Lounge, and she lives in the UK. And of course, she's wanting to target as well, people in the US as well. And because of that, again, she wants to consider when people in the US are online. What's their schedule looking like during the day? When are they most likely to be online and be most active? And that's when she would want to create content. I also want you to understand like human behavior and where your ideal customer is at during the day. So for instance, a lot of the times in the morning, there's an influx of people who are getting online. They're coming online. However, they're just checking their phones, when they wake up, before they start their day, but they're not spending like tons of time online in the morning. Generally, they're spending more time online like at nighttime, like after they've already gotten the kids to bed, they've made dinner, now they're sitting down to relax. And so because of that, you would want to, like in the morning when that people are just popping on to kind of check, that's when I tend to post like, just shorter type posts. And I would say like those longer posts for nighttime when I know people are more apt to stay online and more apt to read them. So just kind of consider again, where that ideal customer is during the day. What's their schedule look like? What are they doing? And then again, post on their time and not yours. Now, another thing that I'm going to say is I want you to look. Now, when it comes to your business page, you've got analytics and same thing with your group. And I'm going to be popping over and kind of showing you where you can find those. But on your profile, there's really not a big indicator. Like there's no analytics when it comes to your Facebook profile. And so this is just a little hack that I learned that I started using. And you can see over here, like on the left-hand side, this is just a snapshot of Facebook Messenger for me. And understand that this look could be totally different because Facebook likes to change things. But right now at the bottom in the middle, you can see these two little people right where it says 14 unread messages, which I have way more than that, but we're not going to talk about it. You can see where in green it says 715. And so that tells me when it comes to my profile, how many of my friends' connections are online at that time. So that is really a big indicator of when I will generally post. Now, I've kind of gotten this down to a science from testing it out, when the ideal numbers, like how many people are online. So if I see that I've got like 400 people online, I'm probably not going to post, and I also won't post if I see that there's 900 plus people online. Okay. I will generally post. And again, you will have to test this out based on your connections and how many people that you are connected to. But I generally find that when mine is between like 6 and 700, 750, like that's usually a pretty good ideal time for me to post. But that's kind of how I will, kind of look when it comes to the profile to kind of tell me or give me a direction as far as when to post for me. And I'll kind of look at that. Now, another thing that I want to do is I want to talk about if you have a Facebook group or a business page, a great thing that you can do is look at your analytics. This is golden information, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to back out of here and I am going to bring up, over here, I'm going to show you where these analytics are. So give it just a second. I'm going to pop over here to my business page and I'm going to show you where this is at over here. So on your business page, and again, this could change as far as where it's at. But what I do is I go over up here across the top. I click on Insights. And then over here on the left-hand side, I am going to click on, and up here, this is just the page summary. So you can check this and you can put it on 28 days or the last 7 days. I'll keep it on 28 days for now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here to where it says posts. And this gives you what's called a well report. This is pretty golden, okay? Because this tells you the times of day that are shown like in your local time zone as far as when your audience is online. So this is based on my audience, people who like Sherri Brown Coaching, my business page. And so you can see that people start popping online, 5, 6, and then it kind of peaks out in the morning, I'd say like around 9, and then people start getting online and it peaks out again around like 5 p.m. Now I can click on each day over here, hover on each day, and you can see the well report kind of changes, but it pretty much stays the same, okay? Like the numbers are pretty consistent. There's not a huge jump in when people are online. So one thing that I've learned is you don't want to post, like you can look at these analytics, but you wouldn't want to post like once everything's peaked. Like the best thing you could do is post like somewhere down here, like earlier in the morning, and then kind of ride the wave as more and more people are getting online. As far as at nighttime, if I waited until, 7 o'clock or, even right here at 5 when it kind of peaks, well, I'm not going to be able to kind of ride that wave. So I'm going to post when the maximum people are online, but then people just start dropping off. You see what I'm saying? So it's best to kind of post a little bit before your max amount of people are on. That way, the post, it gives it a little bit of time to gain traction as more and more people are hopping on. And that gives you a little bit better chance as far as, your post like catching and getting some engagement. Now, one other thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here to my Facebook group, Back to the Basics community. I've got, a couple of groups, obviously the Mom's Marketing Lounge, but if you go, if you're inside of your group, over here on the left-hand side, you're going to see where it says Group Insights, okay? And again, this is the last 28 days. So I'm going to click on right here where it gives engagement details. And again, this is for the past 28 days. And if you scroll down, it's going to give you popular days and popular times that people in your community are online and they're engaging. Now, if you hover over the question mark, it tells you exactly what this means. The average times per hour that members post, comment, or react, okay? Popular days, this is the average times per day that members post, comment, or react. So the most popular days in my group for the amount of people who are on engaging are Mondays and Thursdays. So if I'm going to do a post, that post, if I do it on a Saturday, that is when the least amount of people are inside of my group. The least amount of people are engaging. So if I'm going to take a day off to where I'm not going to post something, it's probably going to be a Saturday. Now, if I look over here, you can have this little drop down menu and you can, change the day, and you can see over here the analytics change. So Tuesday's a pretty active day. Thursday's active. So just, pick whatever day you're on. And let's just say Sunday. And again, if I were to post, I would probably want to post somewhere down here. And then again, ride the wave as the maximum amount of people are over here posting around this time. Okay. So look at these analytics. Excuse me. Look at these analytics, and that can give you a great guide as to, the best times for you to post based on your audience and when they're online and when they're engaging, okay? So that's just my little tip as far as when to post and a couple of little hacks I use, especially when it comes to my profile as well. So I'm going to go back down here. We'll get back to the slides. The next thing that I want to talk about is really how to stay on brand when it comes to the types of posts that you're doing, so you aren't all over the place, okay? So think back to what you said that your brand was about, okay? And in the last training, we talked about your Facebook profile. Now, if you went through the foundation training, you've already identified your brand. You know, like what problem you're wanting to solve. You know, kind of what you want to be known for. And then we kind of moved into how to, create a Facebook intro that's really going to pop, that's really going to stand out. So when it comes to your intro, I like to think about this as, kind of, who are you, what you're about, who do you serve? Like, you've got those likability factors, your relatability factors in there. And so this is just a little snippet of mine. And as you can see, mine says marketing and branding nerd, productivity junkie, mommy, wife, and I've got a little animal emoji kind of representing that I have fur babies as well as a tiny human as well. And then helping you stand out online. And so really, this is the guide when it comes to the types of posts that I put up on my profile. This is a guide of what I can kind of stay in, okay? So I like to make sure that any post that I put up is going to fall or represent like one of these categories. Me as a woman, me as a mom, a wife, something about productivity or something in regards to marketing and branding. And so I'm not just talking about a bunch of random things that have nothing to do really with my interest or what I help people with. So think about that when it comes to the type of content or the types of posts that you put up on your own profile. You want to stay within the realm of what you have in your intro, okay? So a big pro tip here is it's not always, and this is something I learned from one of my mentors, is that it's not always about what you talk about that matters, but it's also what you don't talk about that really matters as well. And so there's a reason that people don't come to me when it comes to them wanting to get their website to rank on the first page of Google. I'm not really known for SEO. It's not just because I don't, it's not because, I guess the big reason they don't is because obviously I do not talk about it. That's what I was trying to spit out and could not spit out. But, people, there's a reason why people don't come to me when it comes to how to build their business on LinkedIn or Twitter, because again, it's something that I don't talk about. And so that's why, this little quote, this little pro tip is such a golden tip when it comes to you staying on brand with the types of posts that you put out. So people come to me when it comes to marketing. They come to me when it comes to branding and video marketing and, productivity, things like that, like those foundational pieces, because I talk about them. And then they don't come to me for other stuff because I never mention them. I never talk about them. And so think about that for yourself. What do you not want to be known for? And make sure that those topics, like, you're staying away from them. That way you can really stay on brand and burn into people's memory. You know what I mean? Like, what you are that person to come to for, okay? And so what I want to do is I want to go back over to Facebook. We're going to go to my profile, and I want to kind of show you that some of the posts that I've been putting up, if you look at them, they're all going to kind of relate to something that goes back to my intro, okay? So I'm going to pop out of here, go back over to Facebook. I'm going to go to my profile. And so this is a recent post I did. Not that I really wanted to start with this post, but it's about my dog. I ended up having to put my old lady Daisy down. Very, very heartbroken over that. And I've cried until I feel like I don't have any tear ducts left. But of course, this is a type of post that, obviously aligns with, I'm a huge animal person. I love my animals. I'm big into rescue. All the animals that we have right now, they came from rescues. So did Daisy, my old lady Daisy. Scrolling down here, this was another one. We had a dog that came up and I couldn't get in touch with her owner. And so this was kind of funny. You know what I mean? Just call me Caesar, because, I don't know. I really do believe that these dogs around the golf course just tell people, give each other memos on when they can come, or, that our house is the one they should come to. Because, here I am putting a dog bed out there, covering her up because it was raining. And then this is just quote. I love quotes. I'm a quote junkie. I will say that. Now, quotes are not going to pay your bills, but I am just obsessed with quotes. So I do post a lot of them. And so, this one, did you lose members in your Facebook group? This is very much on brand. It has to do with marketing and branding. This is just something funny related to being a mom. You scroll down, this is something else related to, marketing and branding. And so all of the posts, you can go back and look on my profile, like they're all going to be on brand. And that's how I do it. I kind of use that intro as the guide. And so I'm not just posting a bunch of randomness. And so, go back and look at your own profile and kind of take a look over the past, week or 2 weeks to kind of see, okay, are the types of posts that I'm putting up, are they kind of staying on brand? Do they relate to what's in my intro? If not, then that, use that as kind of a learning guide as to kind of what to stay away from, what you don't want to post later on, okay? So now what I want to do is go back over here, and we are going to talk about some different types of posts that you can put up just to create a little bit more of a variety when it comes to your profile. And so that way you aren't just posting like the same thing every single day. And so you can do just regular text type post. You can, put up post and, have a picture. You can ask questions. I love asking questions, Now, here's the deal when it comes to asking questions. I'm not saying like, do you like Coke or Pepsi, or are you more of a chocolate or vanilla? Like, those are just like the kind of questions like I'm just not a big fan of. I think they're pointless, and I would say kind of steer clear of those. I did used to put up posts like that even, 18 months ago, and, just to try to get engagement, because you will get engagement on those. But to me, I just think they're kind of irrelevant. Like there's no value in it. You know what I mean? It's almost like you're putting it up just to get engagement, but then what can you do with that engagement? You aren't going to be able to go and pay your bills with it. So again, if I'm asking a question, it's, I'm just being more thoughtful with the questions that I ask. And the same thing, I would recommend is be thoughtful in the questions. Don't just put up random questions that, again, they're of no value, okay? You can do quotes. Funny. People love to laugh. I love to follow people who not only make me laugh, but educate me. You know what I mean? Like, I just love funny. And so I love to laugh. So think about how you can kind of, put some funny stuff that stays on brand when it comes to your post. Watch parties. Watch parties have gotten pretty big lately. Don't know if they'll be so big 2 years from now or 3 years from now, but this is a type of post that you can do, that will give you a little bit more of a variety. Lifestyle, take people behind the scenes, show people, your lifestyle. That's why stories are so big. Same thing with like behind the scenes. You can do these as far as regular posts, like on your profile, or they're great too for stories, Facebook stories. They've gotten bigger and stories have kind of blown up. And, they're huge on Instagram, Facebook, they're getting big. YouTube now has stories. And so stories, I love, like the lifestyle, behind the scenes, things like that. You can also do polls. I love polling my audience to kind of find out, okay, I'm thinking about these different topics to talk about, what's your favorite? And I'll kind of show you an idea here in just a second how I did that to really give me an idea of what order I'm going to create some content in. You can do interviews, interview other people in your space. Interviews are great. Before and afters. I have, done before and afters. These are great for like weight loss or skincare or, just other types of things. Now, when it comes to before and afters, if you're posting those, like say on your business page, when it comes to like Facebook advertising, they generally won't allow you to boost or run ads to before and afters. They don't. So you can put them up, and I've even put them up on my profile, and I'll kind of show you an example of how I kind of used it. And it was just more like from a lifestyle perspective. It was a before and after of not anything that I am really known for, but I'll kind of show you how I weaved it in to my profile, again, as more of like a lifestyle behind the scenes of this is what's going on in my life, okay? Also, events. If you're at events, document that. Take some pictures, like post about it. Moving on, videos. Videos are huge. Little one-liners. And what one-liners are if you put up a post right now, like on Facebook, if it's a certain amount of characters, then what it does is it kind of makes the print bigger, and so it makes it stand out a little bit. So I love like these little one line, just short, just, impactful little quotes. I love those. So that's a different type. Reviews, you can review products, you can review books, you can, what's something when it comes to your niche, your industry, your brand that maybe you could do some reviews on. Tutorials, testimonials, people who have gotten a result, like you're teaching somebody something, they've gotten a result, like you can share a testimonial, you can give recognition, trending topics. So what's trending when it comes to your industry? So for me, for example, if the Facebook algorithm changes, that's something that's trending. When it comes to, let's say, if you're in fashion, each year, you know what I mean? Like there's maybe some different trends going on. So you can look and kind of see in your industry, like what's trending, what's something brand new that people are, talking about like right now that you could put up as a post. Okay. So moving on from here, I want to talk a little bit about videos too. Okay. Because when it comes to videos, there's a couple of different types of videos that you can do. One is live videos. Of course, you know what this is. I'm sure you've watched them, and they definitely get the most engagement. over any other type of video you can do. Now, you can also do pre-recorded videos. So if you aren't, if you're a little gun shy when it comes to getting on and doing live videos, you can still do pre-recorded videos and then again upload those natively to Facebook, whether it be your profile, business page, group, something like that. And then there's also like little teaser videos. And what teaser videos are basically you can take a little snippet out of that longer video and you can create a short little snippet of a video that you can then drive traffic back to a longer piece of content. So for example, this is Sunny Lenarduzzi. She's really big when it comes to teaching people YouTube and things like that. She also has a podcast. And so she created like a short little 15-second snippet. And then you can see what she's doing in the description is she's driving people back to her latest podcast episode, okay? So that's what you can do with teasers. I've seen quite a few people do this. I've done them a few. I could probably do some more, to be honest with you. I just haven't yet. Maybe that's something that I'll add into it, but I just wanted to give you, some different types of content, again, that you could do, okay? Also, moving on to polls. So when it comes to polls, I want to show you this as well. I want to kind of tell you when it comes to polls on your profile, pages, and groups. So when it comes to your profile and your business page, when you go to add a poll, it's only going to give you the ability to add 2 different options, okay? Now, if you're doing it from your desktop, they do allow you some extra little options, like you can add pictures. If you're given 2 different options and you're saying yes and no, you could add a picture or a little GIF, of somebody shaking their head yes or somebody shaking their head no. So that's something you can't do right now from your phone, but again, Facebook might change it. But you always are going to get some different options on your desktop or laptop versus phone. And then when it comes to your groups, here's what's cool when you do a poll in your Facebook group. You have the ability to add way more than just 2 things. And you also have the ability to add, to give your audience the option to add extra things, okay? So you just have to adjust the settings. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to hop over and I'm going to show you what this looks like, okay? So let me go back to my Facebook group. Back to the basics community. And I'm going to show you what this looks like. So over here, if you click these little dots, this is where it kind of pulls up and it gives you, different options. You can add a GIF, you can, add a feeling. But if we do a poll, so you can, ask a question, and then you can, add in, you can have as many options as you want. But now if you click this little drop down right here and you have these checked, this is where you can allow anybody else to add other options to the poll. You can also allow people to choose multiple options. Now, if you don't want those, you simply uncheck them. You know what I mean? So you can check them if you want people to be allowed to add multiple options, but you don't want them to, or to be able to choose multiple options like poll options, but you don't want them to be able to add any other option. Just make sure that this one's not checked and this one is. You know what I mean? It's totally up to you. But now if you go to your Facebook profile, if I leave this page, go over to my profile, and I go as if I'm going to do a poll here, I click poll. Now here, you only get 2 options, but you can add a GIF, you can add a picture, and this is something that, you don't have that ability to do in a Facebook group. You can also have the ability to have this poll expire. So you can have the poll up and you say, hey, this poll ends in a day, in a week. You can have it custom, whatever you want, okay? And so just understand this is little something extra you can do when polling, on your profile that you can't do in your group. And so, just understand, just play around with it. But I do love this poll option. And again, even if you didn't want to do a poll, so let me just refresh this. I'll go back. I'm going to leave this and I want to click what's on your mind. Okay. So again, over here, You have the ability to you can create a list. That's something I didn't even talk about a few minutes ago, as far as, one thing you can add just to kind of switch up that variety. A one-liner, of course, like I said, if you're doing a short quote, it's going to make it a little bit bigger when it shows up in the news feed. You've got these options to where you can change the background. So that's pretty cool. And so you can see right here, let me scroll down. This is one that I did where it's a little bigger because it was just like a short little quote. And of course the text is bigger versus if I were to do like right here, a longer post. You can kind of see the difference in size of the font. Okay. So just wanted to kind of keep that in mind as well. So now we're going to hop back over, because I just like to hop back and forth. And we're going to talk about how just to create better posts in general. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to say is always have your ideal person in mind. Thinking back to who is that ideal person that I want to attract, when you're creating posts, talk and speak and write as if you're talking to them. Okay. Also, stay on brand. And we talked about how to kind of stay on brand when it comes to your social media content. This is a quote I heard from John Melton that I absolutely love. Be a human first and a marketer second. When I first started out online, I was definitely not taking this advice, okay? So I was just pitching and I was promoting, and it was all about me and what somebody can do for me. And it wasn't like intentional. It was just I didn't understand marketing at that time. And so it was like when I started a business, I was so excited about it, I just stopped being a human. You know what I mean? And it was more like and that's, I think, a big reason why people were running from the hills while I was getting ignored, why I was not getting any engagement, and why I definitely wasn't making any profit those first 4 years. So just understand that. Be a human first and a marketer second. Also, make your posts easy to read, okay? And now you can do this simply by, if you're writing a paragraph, instead of bunching that paragraph all together, and I'm going to show you what this looks like in a minute, but instead of bunching it all together, like space it out, put some space, like use the return bar to where there's some white space in between it, and it's just, a lot easier to read. Add some emojis to draw the eye. Now, just like anything else, you can overdo this. And so you don't want to sit here and use an emoji like, every other like character is an emoji, but use some emojis just to kind of draw the eye. And then I also want to show you kind of my thought process. Okay. My thought process on how I can take content. Now, in a previous video, when it came to content marketing, I talked about lots of different ways that I come up with ideas, to post. Not only ideas for like regular value-driven content that I do every week on YouTube or on a Facebook Live, but just also, post ideas in general. I use it as inspiration. My favorite place to find inspirational type post, or not inspirational meaning, just quotes all the time, but just inspiration to create and come up with social media posts, is Pinterest. Okay. It's one of my favorite places. So let's kind of show you how I've taken and transformed a few different posts to just make them a little bit different, to put my own spin on this, because this is important for you as well, to always put your own spin on things. Now, this is a post that I found on Pinterest. It's a quote: your kids don't want a perfect mom, they want a happy one. Now, I could have easily just, taken that picture, put it up on Facebook, and I would have still gotten some engagement, okay? But I want to show you how I transformed it. This is how I transformed it. I took, I found a picture of me, and I went online, and I want to say I might have used either Canva. Let me see a couple of the different apps that I use. I use Canva. I also use an app called WordSwag. I have an iPhone, so I'm not sure if these are available, like if WordSwag is available on Android. I know Canva, you can I create a lot of graphics just through Canva. It's free. You can use it, like anybody can use it. And I put the quote at the very top, okay? So this is a quote unknown. I put the quote on the picture. Then at the very top, your kids don't want a perfect mom. They want a happy one. And so you can see how I put space in between it to make it a lot easier to read. And so I was just thinking back when it comes to just what I wanted to not only tell myself, but what I find a lot of moms doing. So that's why I said your kids don't want a perfect mom, they want a happy one. Then the rest is just me adding my own spin to it. So stop beating yourself up, putting yourself last, thinking you're a failure. These are all things that we do as a mom at one point or another. You know what I mean? Stop telling your kids to chase their dreams while never pursuing your own. And instead, make yourself a priority. Find something that sets you on fire, because at the end of the day, what you don't do, or what you do and don't do are going to impact how you feel, and how you feel is going to impact the way you are around your kids. And no, it's not selfish. It's just plain smart. And so then I repeated it. So again, this is way more powerful. I got great engagement out of this. Very much geared towards the mom, which is really the ideal person that I'm wanting to work with. Now, there's a lot of people inside of the Moms Marketing Lounge who are not moms, and that is okay. I'm not saying that the only person I'm going to work with is a mom, because that's not true. But again, you can see a huge shift in how I transform that post. And so this is another post that I did. I found this picture on Pinterest. I create Pinterest boards and different categories. And I took this post. If you ever feel like giving up, just remember there's a little girl watching who wants to be just like you. Don't disappoint her. Again, love the quote. And I could have easily put this up on Facebook. But what I did was I transformed it into this. I didn't even add anything extra, because I feel like the picture itself really proved a point and created just that that it just made it so much more powerful, because I was a cheerleader all through school. Even in college during the summer, one summer I was a cheerleading instructor. And so I went around the entire eastern part of the United States putting on cheerleading camps for junior high and high schools. And then my little girl now is in gymnastics. She did go to a cheerleading class. And so when we came back from that first class, I was like, hey, let's just try something. You want to do some stunts? And so this was like us doing a stunt for the very first time. And it was so much fun. And this quote stuck out to me. Like, I remember seeing the quote on Pinterest, and it was on Pinterest for a little bit. And I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to use this, but eventually I'm going to use it. And then after we did this stunt, I pulled out some of my old cheerleading pictures, and I just used an app to put our pictures side by side. And then I just put the quote. And you can see the engagement is, I had great engagement on it. Couple shares, people were commenting. And I just thought that this was such a powerful post, just to remind moms, you know what I mean? That, just to remind moms that our actions and what we do, like, we've got somebody there watching us. So, to constantly make sure that we're setting a good example. And again, I just liked how I was able to kind of transform that. I didn't add a big, long description. The picture spoke for itself. So moving on. The very top, this is a Rachel Hollis quote from her book called Girl Wash Your Face. And so I took the quote, just put a picture of me, and I just added, gave her a shout out, added, some little extra stuff on here. If you ever want to slap in the face, straight kick to the butt, boot in the pants book to get your butt moving, grab it. And then I talked about, I love how she empowers women to stop feeling sorry for themselves and giving into the BS excuses they keep telling themselves that serves no one. You and only you can change your situation. So cry it out, then get your ass back up and go make crap happen, okay? And so again, gave her some credit, very much still on brand. And it was just me adding just a few extra thoughts to that quote. Moving on to the next one. I remember seeing another Rachel Hollis quote, because a few of these pictures are just when I was, on a Rachel Hollis kick. It was after I, read her book, Girl Wash Your Face, which I'll probably read more than once. But she mentioned about how just other people's opinions, like, they're none of your business. And so I just took kind of like that thought And then I just kind of created this. Let them judge you. Let them misunderstand you. Their opinions aren't your problem. Stay kind, stay committed, stay authentic. I added white space. I added a couple of emojis. And again, this was a post that got some really good engagement, very much on brand, very much issues that we face as entrepreneurs about how other people or human beings in general, because a lot of the times I remember before just, I used to let other people's opinions and thoughts like just shift and I don't know, just kind of like mess with me. And so I just got to a point where it's like, you know what? You've got to be happy. People are going to talk. Doesn't matter what you do. You're not going to please everybody. And this is very much, I guess, an issue that I think a lot of people, a lot of humans face, entrepreneurs and non-entrepreneurs. So I just added a picture of myself and just came up with something short. Wasn't a novel, just something, punchy that I thought did really well. This is another just regular post. This is, and I will say I got this from Pinterest, okay? Now I'm going to be totally honest. I give credit where credit's due, but every now and then I have been known, if I find a little quote or something on Pinterest that does not have an author, and I do not know who it's from, then I might post it up, okay? Like, don't judge me. But again, took a picture of me and took this little thing, added it, short little like punchy 4 sentences, that was it. And again, it got great engagement. Very much stays on brand, added the white space, the emojis, and that's how I created that post. This was another poem that I found on Pinterest, added it to my Pinterest board. And again, I could have taken the poem and just posted the picture, but I was outside and me and my little girl were taking some pictures. We were playing. And so I thought that this poem, that this picture would go super great with this poem. I gave credit where credit's due. And it was just, a message, a poem that although we're busy, like we need to stop and take time. We need to take time, to spend with our kids because that is very important. And I am an entrepreneur to my core. I love my work. I could sit and do this nonstop, but I also I know that my little girl's my why. She was the number one reason why I started this. And so, just a message to never forget to stop and, just not constantly hammer and work all the time, but stop and make memories. And so that, again, is how I transformed this particular post. Now, I also want to take you over to Facebook, and I want to show you how I created some, just some different posts that generated leads for my particular business as well. Now, I will say, you should have already created your content marketing plan, okay, for your value-driven content. So that's why a lot of this is still just how to create just better social media posts. But I always have people that say, okay, well, what kind of post can I do that really showcases or can generate leads for my business? And I don't do this very often because when it comes to generating leads for my business, that comes from the value-driven content that you should have created when you created that content marketing plan. But I also wanted to add in some more of these examples so that you can check out, okay? So take, for instance, this particular post was I created a mom survival guide, okay? Because a lot of moms, we have an issue when it comes to just getting our crap together. And so I created an ebook. This is another picture from when me and my little girl did did some pictures outside, but I have my laptop. It goes really well. I created a work at home mom survival guide, okay? And I just said, hey, it's finally completed, a 20-page workbook to help you get your crap together. I've broken it down into 3 phases. Phase 1, walking you through identifying your priorities. Phase 2, and I gave kind of the benefit, no more mom brain where you're staying overwhelmed and being pulled in all these different directions. Phase 2, taking control of your calendar. I talked about what that does. Phase 3. And so I just said, hey, if you want a copy, let me know. This is me at mentioning my Facebook group. Instead of writing out a big long HTTPS facebook.com/groups, just at mention your group name. just at and then type in the name of your group, and that's going to make it to where this is not only clickable, but it stands out because it's in a different color, okay? So I said, hey, let me know. So I'm also driving traffic to my group as well. And then you can see, you know, I had a lot of people wanting it, and then there were people in my group as well who were able to grab it. I also emailed it to my list once it's done. I posted it on my stories. I will still go back and post it on my stories. I will reuse and repurpose a lot of this. Like, this is one of the things that, you know, that I do when it comes to ebooks and things like this. And you're going to learn how to create a guide to, like, a free ebook of something free that you can give away to your audience. That's going to be under an email marketing section that we are going to be starting in February. But yes, so that was how I was able to do a post, a write-up, and generate leads. This is another type of post. I collaborated with a couple of my buddies, and we did a Facebook challenge. This has been, a while back. But I just created a short little teaser video, and this is what the video is. It's nothing special. Just, that's what it says. Added some music to it. That's it. Drop I'm in for access. So that's all that the video was. And you can see it. This is on my profile. No ads, no nothing. Over 1,800 views. 261 comments. There's 6 shares. And so all I did was, and this was not even the first time that I did this. We collaborated on this challenge, I want to say maybe 2 times, 3 times. So this was the last time that we did it was, it's back for one final run. Backed by popular demand, a 5-day attraction marketing, badass challenge to teach home business owners how to increase their engagement on social media. Can I get a yes, please? And you can screenshot this because it's not on the slides. But, we just said, hey, if no one's engaging, or this is me saying it, they didn't write it. Here's the deal. If no one's engaging, then guess what? Facebook isn't going to show it. And without eyeballs, it's, it'll be dang tough to do much online. Trust me on that. So the last time, this is me like showing some social proof. We had over 560 people take part in the first one that we did. And we were, hey, and we're looking to make this one even bigger. If you're ready to grab your spot, drop I'm in below. I would probably switch that, and do like a down emoji now. You have to kind of switch things up every now and then to make sure you get in. We talked about when it started. And instead of saying like, share this out, because that is a phrase that the algorithm catches. And so, I kind of changed it up saying spread the love and mention a rock star below who might want to join. And so again, this was just a regular post. I did a short little video, generated a lot of leads. This is another one that I did. Again, when it comes to, I'm not somebody that ever pretends to be some health and wellness guru. Okay. So I struggled with my weight, and it's something I still have to be very conscious about. I was always very, very tiny until after I had my little girl, and I don't know what happened, just getting older. My metabolism isn't what it is, but I can just put on weight easily. And so I struggled behind the scenes for a few years after she was born, just trying stuff just to get back down, because I'm short. I'm like 5'4". And so I started using these products. And one thing that I started doing just for my profile, I never emailed this to my list, never posted it in my community, never posted it on my business page. And I definitely didn't run any ads to it because Facebook wouldn't have allowed it anyways. But this was just me sharing my journey. You can see the engagement. I generated tons of leads for this, got lots of signups for, just these products. And so all I did was me just documenting my journey. Although Sunday will officially be my 4-week check-in, I could not wait to post this. I went from a 10-12 to a 6. I wear, just in case you're curious, I buy my jeans at Old Navy. That's just my favorite place to buy them. And so I use the same brand of jeans, always have. When I said when I took my old lady Daisy to her follow-up appointment on Wednesday, which kind of makes me sad considering I just had to put her down, I decided to run by Old Navy. So I'm sharing a little bit about my journey. And I thought, hey, what the heck? Let me see if I could get in these 6s, and I could. And I haven't been able to wear a size 6 in 5 years, since before I got pregnant. I'll be going live to share a little bit about my results, what I'm doing, how I'm feeling. And I just said, hey, 4 weeks, 3 product changes, 12 weeks. And again, tons of people, just tons of comments, shares. I mean, tons of engagement. I generated a lot of leads for my business, but I wasn't sitting here trying to come from some expert, point of view. It was just, hey, this is what I'm doing. I was sharing my results every week. And, that's how I was able to generate a lot of leads for that. This is another one. This is the 12-week after I finished the 12-week pledge. And again, you can see the engagement. You know what I mean? Lots of people were commenting even after that, even after 3 months of me posting a weekly progress, like I was still able to have that. And it was just me, again, sharing my journey. This was a longer post, of course. I don't do super long posts very often. And, but if you want to kind of take a screenshot of what that looks like, that's right there. And then I'll scroll down, and that's how it ended. And, think about different ways that maybe you could do that. I was somebody who, because this isn't really my brand of, I'm a health expert, I was not like you. I never showed other people's before and after. I wasn't posting other people's before and afters on my profile. Like, it was just me. Like, I was just sharing my journey. Okay. So just wanted to share that. And then let me see here. This was just, I already showed you a picture of the poll, but this is a poll that I did. And this is just, had a bunch of different content ideas that I was wanting to do. And so I decided, hey, let me post this in the group and see, what they want to learn about. And so, take it to them, take it to the people I'm creating it for, right? And this now gives me an idea of, hey, this is the order where I'm going to create this content in based on their opinion, based on what they want to see. And so now let's scroll back over here. I want to kind of talk about some different things too, to keep in mind when it comes to posting on social media. Understand that most of the engagement that you're going to get is going to come within like the first 90 minutes, okay? The first 90 minutes. After a day, I rarely have posts that get engagement 3 days after I posted it, okay? Most of it is going to come within those first 90 minutes. So also when it comes to like you replying back, space out those comments. Okay. So when I'm replying back, when people start commenting on my post, if I put up a post, they start commenting, I'm not going to go right then and reply to every single comment. I'm going to wait and I'm going to do it. Like I'm going to space it out and kind of reply in batches. Okay. So again, that's a great way to keep the post out there, to keep it going. And for the love, please do not copy and paste other people's posts. I think I don't know how many times that I've put up a post, some of the examples I've showed you, and I turn around and, people are like literally copying, pasting that post. I think it makes you look super lazy. I think it's rude. Facebook looks at it as duplicate content. And so the post isn't going to do as well. Understand that your audience is different. It's probably going to be different from my audience. And so always put your own spin on it. Use posts for inspiration. Now, again, I'm not saying like a little one-liner that I found on Pinterest that didn't have an author and so I posted it, but I'm talking about the longer just content that, understand that it takes people time to come up with this. And so put your own spin on it. Don't copy and paste. It just kind of makes you look like a jackhole when you do that. Also, be mindful of how much content you actually share, okay? Because I've done lots and hundreds and hundreds of profile reviews on Facebook. And, there's been times where I'll go to their profile and all it is them sharing other people's content. It's like no original content from them. So just be mindful. If you do share, make sure that you're sharing content that is relevant to your brand, okay? So even for me, say that I do a Facebook Live or I put up a video and, it's really good, but you are in health and wellness. You know what I mean? It might not make sense for you to share my video over on your profile. Now, it might make sense for you to share it. Let's say you're in network marketing and you've got a team of people. Like, it might make sense for you to share it to your group, you know what I mean? To your team group or to a page, you know, if it is related to that. But it may not make sense for you to share to your profile. So again, just be mindful of how much you do share. I would recommend sharing about 1 out of 10 posts. You want the rest of them to be original content from you that you're doing. And then of course, if you do share, if I'm going to share, like, I'm going to make sure it's a good piece of content that's going to make me look good, that's relevant to my audience, that's either going to entertain, educate, and inspire them in regards to what I do, what I'm about, who I serve, okay? So just something to kind of keep in mind. And then also don't be negative, okay? Because it's only going to attract more negative. And I'm sure those are definitely not the type of people that you really want to work closely with. Also, ask yourself if it's aligned, like before you post, always ask yourself, like, is this aligned with my brand? Is this aligned with what I'm about? And if it's not, don't post it. Lastly, watch external links. Understand that when it comes to Facebook, Facebook makes money by somebody staying on the platform and them serving up ads. So they make money through advertising, through creators advertising on their platform. And so when it comes to links that take people outside of Facebook, Facebook doesn't like it. You know what I mean? Because they want to keep people on the platform. Now, I'm not talking about like your Facebook group. That's not taking somebody out of Facebook. I'm talking about like YouTube or putting a blog article that's taking somebody off the platform, taking them to your website. Usually if I'll give you a couple of hacks for this, okay? First of all, I'll say if I do post external links, number one, if it's ever on my profile, I know that it's just like it's not going to be shown to many people. So I just have that expectation. Also, usually if I do it, I'm going to do it in my Facebook group where I'm driving traffic over to YouTube to a piece of content that I did, or I'm putting it on my business page and I know that I'm going to run ads to it, okay? So if I'm going to put money behind it to push it out there, then I'll post an external link in the description. Another thing you could do is also, put it on a picture. Like maybe you create a graphic and then you post the link on the picture. Or you're doing a video and you talk about the link in the video. Make it something easy somebody can remember, like, sherrybrowncoaching.com. That's pretty simple. That's something easy people can remember. And again, if I'm driving traffic to a Facebook group, that doesn't really count, but you can just mention them, and that way it brings up the group and it's clickable and it just looks cleaner and nicer, okay? We're going to move into why your post may not be getting a lot of engagement. Now, first of all, it could be post timing, okay? So it could be just the fact that you put up a post and maybe it just wasn't the right time, okay? So again, go back, you can check your analytics, see how many people's online, which I actually already did, so I'm not going to walk through that again, but it could be your post timing. It could be that you just shared a post. And again, if you share a post, they just rarely get much engagement. I rarely see posts, shared content show up in my newsfeed. So just understand it just could be that. It could be that it contained a link, okay? Again, go back to think about how Facebook makes money. It could be that maybe it was a little bit too pitchy. It could be a little bit too spammy. It could be that maybe you aren't connected to the right people, okay? Again, quality matters. So, so when it comes to, you just want to make sure, when I say quality matters, this matters too when it comes to your Facebook connections. Like, I never recommend just adding people to add people to try to get your numbers up, because if you're adding people who don't have an interest in what you're talking about and aren't really people that, like have an interest or a problem that you can solve, like it's a waste, for you to be connected to a bunch of people who don't have an interest in that. So again, it could be just the followers that you have, the people that you're connected to, just aren't the right audience. And it could be that you aren't inviting people into the conversation. So a lot of the times that's when I will add, like I'll ask a question at the end of a post. Now, I do not do this always. I don't. Some posts I don't, but some posts I do. Like I'll, come up with a post and then I will ask a question at the end to get people commenting, to get people engaging, to start the conversation. So again, you can go back to the, some of the posts that you've done, look at them and kind of use it as a guide. What could you have done to kind of make this post a little bit better, and use it to learn? It could be that you just haven't been consistent enough. It could be that you haven't taken the time to really build up your audience. When I was first starting out, I didn't have any connections. I just had a couple hundred connections that I was with. And so obviously, the bigger that my audience got, I was able to kind of build up that engagement. But again, it could be just the fact that you just need to focus on building up your audience. And you can use, as far as this, I've talked about this before, you can use the follow method. You can go to different groups, 1 or 2 different groups, and really become a member of that community. Connect with people in there. On your Facebook profile, you can go to the Discover tab, and, it's going to show you a list of people that you have things in common with that, you could possibly, connect with them, become friends with them on Facebook. It could be the fact that you aren't engaging in other people's content. It could, you're not creating recent engagement, so your content isn't showing up in the newsfeed, okay? And this definitely matters if you're new, if you're just starting out, if you don't have a big audience. So just kind of understand that, because, you can't ignore everybody else. You can't ignore everybody else's content, never comment, never engage on somebody else's post, but then expect your own post to get a ton of engagement, or get mad when your post doesn't if you are never going and engaging on anybody else's content. So just kind of understand that too. And it also could be that you haven't given it enough time, meaning, you've been kind of a spammer. You haven't really been consistent on the platform. And so you just started learning. You're creating, you're starting to create better content, but you just haven't given it enough time. And you're like, okay, well, I've been at this and I've created 3 good posts and I'm not a 6-figure earner by now. Well, no, it takes time. And I make that very clear. Marketing takes time. It's all about getting a little bit better every single day. Now, here's a little hack. Conversations in Messenger, they do play a role in your post showing up. So do understand that when you're talking in Messenger, again, that does play a role in the algorithm. That's part of the algorithm as far as, the closeness. They call it affinity, the closeness of a relationship. So if you are messaging people, you're having conversations, a lot of the times you will see their content a little bit more likely to show up, in the news feed. Now, just a few things that I want you to remember before we wrap up this training. Understand too that as of right now, only about 10% of your connections are even seeing your posts in their newsfeed, okay? Now, this was closer to 15% before. I know when it comes to your Facebook business page, of all the people who follow, of all the people who like it, only about 2% are seeing it in their newsfeed. So on your profile, it's about 10% or less, okay? And you have to understand that it's because of the amount of posts that everybody that you're connected to, not only you, but everybody that you're connected to is posting. And so the algorithm has to kind of filter that and determine and decide, okay, which posts are we going to kind of show in the newsfeed? And that's why a lot of the times, if a post doesn't do too well, in the first 90 minutes, it's probably not going to be shown. It's not going to continue being pushed out. It's kind of probably going to be whittled down and shown less and less and less. Okay. So just kind of understand that. And I already told you about the business page. Get into a social rhythm, or this is something else that I recently added to this, is turn on your follow button. Okay. And I will link, if you do not know how to turn on your follow button, I will put below the video, just a short little tutorial on how to actually change it to where on your profile, you're only allowed 5,000 friends. Okay. But you can have as many followers, people following your content. You can have millions of followers. Okay. Millions of people who follow your post, but this is a setting that you actually have to turn on. Okay. You have to edit the setting, on Facebook. And so if you don't have your follow button on or don't know what that is, look below and just make sure that is, that your follow button's on. Also, make your post public. I get if you are, posting pictures of your kids and you don't want those to be public, like I get that. But when it comes to any of your value driven content, inspirational quotes, funny stuff, like there's no reason for you to have that set to friends only, okay? So have that public, because otherwise it's just kind of saying that you're closed for business. And when other people who don't know you, who aren't connected to you, are coming to your profile and they're taking a look at you, if you don't have those posts set to public and they can't really see anything about who you are, what you're about, then they're going to be less likely to want to connect with you, or less likely to want to follow your content if they can't even see anything. So just make sure that your posts are public. Also, get into a social rhythm of daily activities that you can implement. So, whether it's, hey, I'm going to engage on for however long, whether it be 15 minutes twice a day, or I'm going to sit here and, just, I'm going to go through and I'm going to spend 30 minutes just connecting with people in Messenger. Like, get into a social rhythm of daily activities that you can implement. Not only that, but stay consistent with, okay? Because if you aren't consistent, then people are going to move on. They're going to say, you know what? Hey, this person's hit or miss, and I'm going to go find somebody who is going to help me with, what problem I have. So again, stay consistent with it. And this means posting consistently, adding new connections, removing old ones, engaging on other people's content so that you can create recent engagement. So those are just some examples of some daily activities that you can kind of add in. Also, focus on building your influence. I remember when I first got started, I wasn't really focused on influence. I was focused on sales. And here's the hard reality, the hard truth. Like, if you don't have influence, you will not have sales, okay? So switch the mindset. Focus on serving. Focus on, helping people and building up that influence first, and then you can kind of focus on sales. And that's a big reason why Heine, a member inside of our Mom's Marketing Lounge, she started doing Facebook challenges. And because she's so new with everything that she's doing, I was like, hey, instead of focusing on just making a pitch, in this challenge, just focus on serving, focus on building it up, focus on getting more people into your community and helping them solve a problem. And then we can focus on the sales after we've been able to kind of build up your influence. Also, as always, marketing takes time. So don't get discouraged. Like, if you aren't seeing results right away, stay the course, trust the process, stay consistent. And if you need money right now, if you're looking to just build your income like super quick, then I would focus on adding in and making sure that you very much are prospecting every single day on top of marketing. So continue prospecting, continue getting better at those conversations while you're working on your marketing. So eventually you can get to a point where you're generating leads and you're not having to message people that you don't know. Don't get mad or think that there's something wrong with you if people unfriend you, unfollow you, leave your group, stop ordering, because they aren't really your true tribe, okay? And it only makes room for those who you can really impact, okay? So just kind of understand that, because I know that sometimes it can get a little frustrating, it can get a little upsetting. And so that's just something that I just wanted to kind of mention, is just understand that it comes with the territory. There's going to be people who unfriend you, unfollow you. Don't let it hurt your feelings. Focus on the impact, okay? Focus on the people who are showing up, not on the people who don't, okay? Now, also understand that you're not always going to be super creative and on when it comes to creating content. Like, it's totally normal. There's some days where I can plow through and I can create some really good social media posts, like some of the examples that I've shown you throughout this training. And then other days, like, I'm not creative, and that's okay. Like, it's normal. There's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with me. It's just a part of life. It's just human nature. And so that's why being able to batch and have some of those built up on the back end for on the days where you aren't on, or on the days where you just aren't feeling super creative, like you still have something. And on those days too, that's when sometimes I might just post something short and funny. You know what I mean? When I don't have, like, nothing's flowing, ideas aren't flowing, like, sometimes that's when I'll post that. And, having Pinterest, again, Pinterest has been my best friend. feel free to use it too. I highly recommend it. And, you know, just kind of use it for inspiration, but don't get discouraged and don't get upset. And then also, if a post isn't hitting within like the first 90 minutes, don't delete it. This is something that I used to do. I used to delete the post, and then, you know, somebody else was saying, you know, like all that does is it makes it to where like you're taking away anything that you could have learned from it. Okay. So instead of deleting it, just change the setting to only me. That way, again, you can go back and you can kind of look and say, okay, why didn't this post hit? Like, what's something I could have done to make it a little better? And then repost it another time. Maybe it was just the timing. Maybe you could have added a question. Maybe you could have added a picture. You know, so just let it, like, use those as learning tools to allow you to grow instead of just deleting it. So with that being said, that is the end of the training. Hope you got some value from this. Hope that it helps you to create better posts. All right. You have completed this training. Super, super excited. If you got some value, be sure to hit that like button. And also, if you haven't already, subscribe to my channel. My hopes are that this training really opened your eyes to how to just think a little bit differently, how to go out there and really create content that's really going to, you know, speak into that ideal person that you want to attract, that ideal person that you want to work with. And so again, hope you got some value. If you want to know more on the Moms Marketing Lounge and how you can get into my group coaching program, again, just look below in the description and feel free to share this out. Sharing is caring. But with that being said, hope you have the most amazing day, and I'll see you back here next week for another video. Bye for now.